Technology innovation plays an important role during the pandemic. It connects and enables the different industries to continuously provide service to their clients despite the distance. In line with this, the digital adaptation of the market propelled last year. Now, the question is, what is the future of digital banking? To address that, I would like to officially welcome everyone to the Future of Digital Banking panel discussion by Exist Software Labs Inc. Hi, I am Jameline Ambrosio, your moderator for this event. I am honored to introduce our panelists for today, which will help us get better insight on the future of digital banking. So without further ado, I would like to call on the spotlight Mr. Michael Lim, Exist President and CEO.
Hi, nice to meet you all. Good to be here.
Next on the spotlight is our next panelist, Mr. Jonas Lim, Exist Vice President for Engineering.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here. Excited.
Okay, and next on the spotlight is our next panelist, Mr. Ramon Abasolo. He's the Robinsons Bank SVP and Chief Digital Officer.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, and last but not the least is Mr. John Medina, PBCom's Chief Operations Officer.
Hello.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So I hope everyone is having a great day, and I am excited to hear your thoughts regarding the topic for today. So what is the future of digital banking? To begin with, I would like to ask Mr. John Medina. Sir John, with the changing demand of the market, wherein everything is now going to digital, may I know what are the other tech innovations that the market can expect from the bank?
Well, a lot of it will come from really the analytics because we're in uncharted territory. We don't know what the customer behavior is going to be like. We've seen some changes in the last 12 months. Some of them expected, some of them unexpected. So it's hard to predict what the innovations will be because we suspect that customer behavior will be unpredictable given that the times are not normal, and the products and the services will have to adjust as well.
Yes, thank you for that answer, Sir John. I would also like to get the opinion of Sir Ramon Abasolo. Sir, can you further give us your insight regarding this? What do you think is the tech innovations that will happen in the banking section?
I think I would also agree with John. It's hard to predict. The customer behavior is important. And there are a lot of technology innovations out there. And sometimes the challenge is what do we choose to dedicate our focus on, because given that there are a lot of technologies out there, we have to make sure that we put our effort and our resources in those that will really add value to the customer. So we really have to listen to the customer and in some ways predict what their needs will be, what their expectations will be, and then adjust accordingly. And that's why I guess in terms of innovation, it's more of trying to bring about a culture or a framework within the bank so that when we know what the customer wants, we should be able to pivot quickly and roll that out quickly, enabling, delivering customer satisfaction as quickly as possible.
Yes. So as mentioned by Sir John and Sir Mon earlier, so it's really hard to predict the customer behavior right now, especially with the pandemic and all. But as you've mentioned, we should also be, or banks should also be ready to meet their demands. So with that said, Sir Michael Lim, can you also provide us with your insight on how can these banks, or for example, PBCom and Robinsons Bank, have or be ready to scale up and be flexible enough to meet the ever-changing demands of the market?
Yeah, I think both John and Ramon hit the nail there. So it's really about continuing to provide service to their customers despite of the pandemic, despite of the changing environment, and it all boils down on how you understand. And I'm glad that I've heard it from these two guys who's been really at the forefront of in their organization in terms of technology and innovation. So um, one of the things that I would imagine later on that would be considered as something that would drive analytics, understanding customer behavior, and all would be the introduction of hopefully of AI or maybe even machine learning, not just around the area of understanding the customers, but I guess later on also in enables them to be more comfortable using digital platform per se in terms of efficiency, reliability, and in general security later on. So uh, data has always been a gold mine for a lot of industries. It's always a way for them to understand a lot of things that are happening in the organization. And I would imagine for the banks understanding their customers, behavior, buying power, and also it allows them to really be more personal per se using digital platform and be able to serve them better. So I'm glad to be able to hear that PBCom and our Robinson's Bank is looking at that area wherein technology can really bring in value for the organization. And I might be wrong that in the past, banking industry in the Philippines has been very conservative of technology. And right now, I guess with the pandemic and all, there's an aggressive shift in the banking industry to really push forward technology, continuing to provide their service digitally, especially right now. I don't know if anyone still goes to the bank anymore to withdraw or transfer and do their transactions. So I guess it's high time really for a lot of the banks to jump in.
Thank you, Sir Mike. Actually, based on studies, last year during the pandemic or on the start of the pandemic, 4 million new accounts were created in the digital platform.
There
And
you go.
actually, there is 25% decrease in the usage of ATM as well.
There you
And
go. Yeah.
to add that on that, Sir Mike mentioned earlier that to help predict the behavior or the future need of our clients, data is really essential. So, Sir Jonas, would you like to give further elaboration on that?
Sure. Probably uh, uh, more of from a technical, I guess more from a technology company point of view in terms of what I think would be uh, in terms of innovations in the banking industry. Uh, I, I believe we can agree, or at least it's a general consensus that everything is, or a lot of things will go digital in terms of services, the services that banking sector provides. We can see it right now, actually during the pandemic, just basically jumps, a lot, multiple folds. Now, from a technical or technology perspective, I would think the one. Well, actually, I have like four items in my mind right now that are not really new, but it is something that I feel that would be uh, seriously going to be considered or looked at in the banking sector, actually in a lot of industry in general. Number one would be the cloud, or more specifically, hybrid cloud. It just makes sense because of the direction of a lot of organizations, specifically on the banking industry and the fintech, to go, to that digital transformation strategy. It makes sense to take advantage of the scalability of the cloud, and at the same time be able to also use the the on-premise service that a lot of the banks still have.
Mhm.
The other thing, the second would be, again, this is not really a new technology, but it is something that I see that there's going to be a lot of adaptions from the banking industry.
Mhm.
Is the use of API management
Mhm.
platform. It will basically this will pave a way for banks to expand to in terms of services that they can provide uh, outside from their the traditional services, because now you can easily, quickly and safely, at least that's the purpose of the API management platform, to easily and safely integrate with other third-party providers,
Mm-hmm.
whether that be a payment gateway or other banks, or maybe non-traditional banking integration, maybe retail or healthcare. So that is something that I think will have a strong impact in terms of technology in the
Mm-hmm.
banking sector. It also goes well with like open banking and that type of direction.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and also next would be like John and Mon mentioned earlier, which I totally agree. Data would be key. There are a lot of innovations in data.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, from capturing data, from processing data, from monetization of data, from displaying data and being able to do some acrobatics on how you process those data. So there are a lot of innovations in that domain, which is something that is very critical, I think, in terms of knowing your customers, doing a lot of other uh, strategic decision or planning based on actual data.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we used to do a lot of big data before, but I think the next stage of that would be like fast data, streaming data, data that you can access immediately, process immediately
Mm-hmm.
from different sources. Last, and I think Mike mentioned this, AI, machine learning, and analytics. But specifically, I'd like to focus the analytics part, or the AI or machine learning component, on the context of prescriptive security. Um, Now, once you go digital, I mean, full digital platform, it also carries with it some risk involved. And I think analytics, machine learning can help mitigate that risk in a way, being able to analyze patterns, behavioral patterns, to preempt any sort of hacking incidents or malicious intent from individuals. So that would also play, because analytics have been around and it has been really a buzzword for a number of years now.
Mm-hmm.
But I see it being used, at least once we have this a lot of this digital transformation taking place. I see it used really more, or at least more efficiently on the security side of things.
Thank you very much for joining us. Actually, since you've mentioned security, a lot of actually bankers are questioning, are the digital platforms or digital banking platforms secure enough? So can you give us more information about that, Sir John? For example, with your, I think you all have two platforms right now, digital platforms. You have POP and PBCom Mobile. So can you share with us or the attendees on this event the security of the digital platforms that you have?
The regulations are very prescriptive in terms of what needs to be in place to ensure security. The BSP is a very comprehensive information technology risk management framework, and we as a bank have to comply with the regulations. And so there's, on one end, there's multi-factor authentication. In the middle, there's some analytics in terms of customer behavior, and on the other side, it's the traditional fraud and cybersecurity measures that should be there.
Okay, thank you very much, John. So there are certain level of security that are in place that the customers or the bankers can feel, they can feel more secure to use the digital platforms. So you've
Actually, I had this discussion with my father recently. You know, he and his friends, they're very, very traditional. And so they think it's safer to go to an ATM to pay a bill rather than download the app and pay that bill. So if you boil it down to the risk, there's the risk of you getting hit by a car, getting held up at the ATM, getting your card skimmed.
Yeah.
When you download the app and do the transaction, the risks are reduced because of all the authentication measures, all the controls in place.
Yeah.
And so to say that there are risks on the online platforms, it has to be said in the context of what is it compared to the traditional
relative
means of doing a transaction.
Exactly. I guess to add to that, I mean, it's a fair question that people will be asking if is it really safe to do banking through digital platforms. So, I mean, the introduction of technology actually adds, for me, in my opinion, adds that additional layer of security that has not been present in the past. It allows people to be able to feel secure. Actually, I mean, in the younger age of connectivity, there might be a lot of loopholes, but it has drastically improved over the years. And as John mentioned, there's a lot of layers of security, not only for banks, where it can also apply for e-commerce, for other markets, various levels of security. And I would imagine specifically for the banks, there's a lot of layers there coming from authentication, digital identification, to fraud detection, probably even predictive fraud detection using AI and ML later on. So again, that all boils down to, how do you understand your customers' behavior? Where do they usually do their banking through? Is it through the phone? Is it through the ATM? Is it through a lot of the other digital platforms? And you try to tie them up and understand better and create a lot more sophisticated algorithms to make sure that that particular customer is protected. So you can't do that before. You cannot actually do that. Maybe you can, but not as fast as we can do it right now because of the technology that is present right now. So I would imagine it's a lot safer relatively to the time before, but there's no digital platform for people to do their banking.
Okay, thank you.
In fact, what we're seeing is customers want to feel the security. They want to feel it.
Yes, exactly.
We did a customer survey, and they appreciate things like the OTP.
Mhm.
They appreciate SMS notifications.
Yes.
If you really have to make it visible to them, and they appreciate it. And the more you make it visible to them, they get more comfortable using it.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, exactly.
Actually, just to add to that, I totally agree on that one, because being a consumer myself, it makes me trust the system or the platform even more. And to add on what John said earlier, everything, there's actually a risk to everything, whether that be traditional banking or platform banking. It's really foolish to think if that a platform is risk free, but there's a really big difference between having a risk and being like a risky type of transaction. There's a big difference between the two. Risk is like John said earlier, driving a car. There's always risk. There's going to be an accident, flat tire, or whatnot. But driving a car intoxicated or even blindfolded, that's risky. And for the banking platforms, specifically for the banking platforms, there are a lot of regulations. There are a lot of we've done a few banking platforms, and there are a lot of like auditing, even if they're not automated, reconciliation, checksums, and all those stuff, OTP. That really would, from a consumer perspective, it's no different than going to a bank like a brick and mortar, do an ATM transaction or even an over the counter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And since people will be seeing this, we can put all the controls.
Right.
But if you don't protect your phone, if you don't protect your password, you don't protect your PIN, then all of that is useless. So
it's compromised.
Sometimes you go back to the most basic: protect your phone, protect your password. Don't give your phone to anyone. Protect your PIN.
Yeah, security is end to end, right? It has to be a
Yeah.
complete cycle. It doesn't have to be just the bank. You also protect yourselves.
Okay, thank you very much for that insights. And you mentioned earlier as well that banking and finance, actually, there are several regulations that is being given by BSP. So just to ask, may I know what is BSP lenient or strict when it comes to the digital innovations in banks? Sir Ramon, can you give us insight regarding that?
But I found the BSP very open. I won't say lenient because really, as regulators, they have to establish process and procedures. But they've been very open to the technologies now, and they've been quick to respond when we do have queries about digital technologies, and when we have to consult them or seek some advice on digital products, digital technology. So they're very open and they're very progressive. They're adopting a lot of the new technologies. They're supporting QR. They're really supporting financial inclusion. So yes, they've been very open to it. They've been very supportive, and they do have very extensive policies, guidelines, and they're very how would you say, they're very wide in coverage.
So, do
That's
you
good to
agree
hear.
with this, Sir John? Same experience with Sir Mon. You've also experienced that the BSP rules and regulations right now is actually very open and encouraging the different banks to innovate to help their clients have a better experience in using their applications or in getting their services.
I would say the BSP is actually ahead of the curve in terms of like a regulator. I was speaking to some regional bankers recently, and they were shocked that I had a bank account data residing in the cloud in another country, and that was approved by the central bank. That's a no-no in other jurisdictions, and so and the BSP was ahead of the curve in terms of putting regulation out there for the cloud. And as a regulator, it's very refreshing to have a regulator that challenges you to be innovative, and that has been our experience with the central bank. That they challenge us to be more innovative rather than holding us back,
Right.
and
That's
that's
good
a
to
big
hear.
thing.
Yeah. I just like to add to share one experience I had. This was like I think 2 or 3 months ago. I had a call with someone from the U.S. actually, and some part of it they were quite surprised that like we were doing like onboarding style of banking on some part of the USA. They haven't even heard of it. Uh, so it's really like you said, it's really refreshing. And I have a question about that. Would you say that this was even before the pandemic, or is this basically accelerated because of the pandemic? I mean, the openness or the progressiveness of.
Well, they've been open to the cloud even before the pandemic. They've been open to that. Um, During the pandemic, they've actually been more. They've been quick to respond to our requests to roll out digital products.
That's good. That's
That's
good.
good to hear. That's good to hear.
And there's an application fee to launch a new electronic banking service, and what they did was they waived it until I don't know next month or something like that. Since last year, to say to the banks, hey, there's no excuse now to launch something new.
Yeah,
Wow.
and they're very open to pilots. You say I'm going to do a pilot, they'll waive a lot of the requirements if it's a pilot case.
Right.
But
Right.
of course, then when you do the full product launch, then that's when they'll go through that documentation. But they
Right.
really promote innovation among the banks.
Oh, when you say pilot, is it like an R&D implementation? Or is it really just already a production implementation on a pilot
Well,
stage?
it's in production, but it's in production, but let's say limited customer base,
Right,
beta testing. They're very
right.
they'll give you the go signal for
Yes.
those. Of course, they'll want to know how you're managing the risk,
Of
but
course,
they're
of
very
course.
supportive when it comes to that, and they're very open to meetings. We set a meeting within a week or within 2 weeks. They're available for a meeting.
That's great. That's awesome.
That is a very, I guess because of my limited knowledge in the BSP regulation, but I've always thought of them as really more conservative.
Conservative, yeah.
So, but
Yeah, I would.
that's really very big to hear.
Yeah, it's great to
Lately,
hear.
not so much.
Yeah,
Lately, not
it's
so much.
yeah. I mean, having heard that you guys said that they've been open to the cloud even pre-pandemic is new to me. I've always thought that they were really close to the idea of using cloud for any banking purposes. Well, I would imagine it's not. You're not going to implement everything through the cloud, but I guess it's a start.
Oh no, it's everything.
It's everything.
For
Okay,
Philippine, they allowed us to put a core banking system on the cloud.
amazing. Wow.
So
Yeah, same here. Our in our subsidiary banks, they allowed on the cloud, even hosted by a third party, software as a service type engagement.
yes,
Wow. Okay, that's new to me, and it's great to hear that we finally went over that stage in the banking industry in the Philippines, wherein we're so primitive and like the US, the European counterparts are really so ahead of us, and I'm glad that
No, in
yes,
fact,
yes.
my colleagues here they keep on worrying like, do we have to go to BSP for approval? And I say,
Mm,
let's do it because they're very open to it.
that's great. That's great, and that's good for the whole banking industry and in general.
Yeah. So hearing that, I think a lot of banks will be encouraged to do more innovations within their bank. And I think, Sir John, as you mentioned earlier as well, that even before, I think Sir Mon or Sir John mentioned as well that even before cloud is being used already on different banks. So I thought before that since this is a financial sector, a lot of the information should be on premise. So it's a new knowledge for me that even before the pandemic, BSP is actually open to having the systems deployed on cloud.
way
Uh,
way before,
maybe.
way before, several years ago. So it's not nothing.
Yeah, several years ago.
It's great.
And then they're so ahead of the curve. They don't even ask for documentation on your cloud provider. You just give them the name. Oh, you know who that is.
Yeah,
Mm,
Yeah,
it's like, oh, as long as like it's the like Amazon or Microsoft, those players, they'll
yep,
then okay, that's
that's
good.
fine. Yep, yep.
Okay.
That's good.
And as I think I've heard earlier, Sir John has mentioned that it's more scalable and flexible, and it's easier to roll out different applications if you're already on cloud. Um, am I right, Sir Jonas? You've mentioned that earlier.
Yes,
Yes, you did.
but it is. So if I didn't mention it, then yeah, it is true.
Okay. I think you've mentioned four items earlier regarding the innovations that can be done in the bank. So one is data, the other one is hyper cloud, and then the other one is AI, ML, and other innovations. So perhaps can you, on one of those topics, can you further elaborate, for example, AI? How can AI be an innovation in banks?
Well, there's a lot of other innovations other than those four. Obviously, there are like the blockchains, the augmented reality, and all the IoT. But for AI, for example, I was talking about earlier is more specific to the security side, being able to do like analytics, real-time analytics, pattern recognition on possible security threats on the bank, especially that a lot of the banking services are going digital. So it can really aid a lot. Right now, a lot of those stuff, I mean, security process in terms of analyzing. Some of those stuff are currently done manually right now, but once you put that in place, then you have more real-time response.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of way to use predictive analytics other than security, but I think the security part is also something that for me personally, I'm quite interested in looking at because it saves the banks a lot of headaches in terms of dealing the threat once it arrives. So you try to prevent it before it does arrive.
Mhm. Okay. Last question before we wrap up. I would just like to get the opinion of Sir John. Are you into AI already? Are you using predictive analytics to understand the behavior of your clients?
We're starting to. The challenge with analytics is the data set. How do you have enough data to do
Yep.
uh, analytics of value? And here in the Philippines, there's something stricter than bank secrecy. It's the data privacy law. And
Yep.
the challenge, I think, going forward for any commercial entity is consent to do analytics because the customers own the data, their data. And the challenge, especially now in the new normal, is how do you get consent that's not a piece of paper with a signature on it to do the data analytics on a customer. Uh, when you start analyzing customer behavior, there's a Pandora's box of opportunities for both the customer and the commercial enterprise.
Mhm.
I mean, in terms of banking, I guess the dream is, hyper personalization, meaning based on the customer behavior, the service or the product that you will give to the customer is hyper personalized for that customer. Meaning, if it's a loan, there's a repayment scheme that fits exactly his cash flow. The terms are exactly what his lifestyle requires. And there are things that can be done if there's enough data for you to crunch to provide that level of personalization. The challenge is getting all the data together in one place.
Okay. And that is something that is answerable by the technology right now. Am I right, Sir Mike? Is
Yeah, I
it?
mean, yes, I mean,
Yeah,
I thought, I'm sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
go ahead, Ramon.
Yeah, the technology is there. I think even over the past few years, the cost of storage, the cost of bandwidth has decreased significantly. So it's actually no longer the technology that's the issue. That's what John mentioned. It's the effort of assembling all of that, making sense of it, cleaning it, and even that technology is there to solve to handle all of that. But really, the consent
I
has been
mean,
the challenge, especially now in this pandemic. How do you get consent? How do you prove that they've given consent? That's a challenge that every time we begin to embark on this, we get hit with that roadblock. We're making progress in that, but that's the challenge, if I may
Maybe
say
that's
so,
the next,
versus the technology.
maybe that's the next platform
Yeah.
innovation. How to get that consent? It's possible.
Imagine the possibilities. I mean, Robinsons and were in somewhat similar uh, situation. We both belong to conglomerates that have a very retail footprint,
Yeah.
and our customers would have multiple touch points across the conglomerates. And
Exactly. Yeah,
so
yeah.
imagine if you could corral all those touch points uh, and come up with a customer behavior model
Yep.
for that
Yep.
specific customer.
Yep.
Imagine
Yep.
all the opportunities that you could
Yeah.
find for that.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see something rolled out that can actually do predictive or specifically fit offering for a specific client. Thank you very much for your insight. But currently, we are running at the end of the time here. So I just want to say thank you to all our panelists, Mr. Michael Lim, Sir Jonas
Thank
Lim,
you.
Mr. Ramon Abasolo, Mr. John Medina, for sharing all of your insights and providing more information on the future of digital banking. And I'm sorry to our attendees, we won't be able to do a live Q&A, but if you want to know more about this topic, you can visit Exist Software Labs Inc. booth, and we will be more than happy to address your questions. So please visit the link displayed on the screen. Again, thank you, and this is Jem, your moderator for this panel discussion.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. My name is Anjali, Enterprise Sales Manager at Ashnik. I have with me today my wonderful colleague, Dennis, Pre-Sales Database Consultant. Well, I believe the future of banking is open, and we are going to discuss some interesting facts and figures around the role of open source technologies in digital transformation of the banking industry and the role of Ashnik. Dennis, since you have a huge experience of 22 plus years in the IT industry, can you please share some of your thoughts in the banking industry? What's going on in the Philippines? I would also like to know the trends and challenges given the COVID situation.
Yeah, thank you, Anjali, and good afternoon, all. Well, I think the most prevalent trend in the banking industry today is the shift to digital, specifically mobile and online banking. Although COVID-19 may lead to, a crisis in the real economy, the impact on the banking system and the relationship of bank to its customer can also be defined as positive for the purpose of digitization in the banking industry, and of course, the ability to offer an excellent customer experience. And here are some of the challenges that banking industry is facing. As you can see on the list, this is really showing uncertainty in the business environment, not only in the banking industry, but in all industry verticals. And this pandemic has forced many companies to revisit not only the financial forecast, but of course to change even the business model and their business strategies. Aside from altering or changing the business models and strategies, it is also important to highlight the cultural shift. Banks need to figure out innovation projects to address these challenges. Therefore, financial organizations must promote a cultural or organization filled with different and several technologies. Digital transformation initiative will definitely optimize existing procedures and processes to gain better results. Actually, the key item here is that the financial institution should adjust to such technologies and digital transformation initiatives to improve overall customer satisfaction.
Thanks. I completely agree with you, Dennis. How about the opportunities?
I love this quote from Charles Darwin, and this is based on what is actually happening globally, I would say. And this is also what financial leaders outlook for this year. It means that the survival during this pandemic, it's not about being the strongest company. It's always how we can easily adapt to change. Actually, because of this crisis, traditional banking system changed abruptly, but these changes open our mindset to boost productivity instead. We need to change the traditional approach and do more innovation projects, digital information initiatives, multi-cloud adoption, data analytics, and like what we're always saying, improve the overall customer experience. And here are some of the opportunities that I can pick up. We really need to do innovation projects, a lot of opportunities due to new market demands and product demands. And this pandemic forced us to improve customer experience through digitization, right? AI, Internet of Things. This could be machine learning for financial transactions, automated data analysis, fraud detection, and many more. Internet of Things solutions just revolutionized the way we live now, right? And operational efficiency through DevOps or containerization. Of course, we're always hearing data analytics. This is opportunity helps banks in order to make conclusion from data analysis. I would say from this analyzed data we get insights to improve things, right? So lastly, multi-cloud adoption are some of the great opportunities I foresee. A few years back, cloud is just nice to have, But currently, most of the companies are using four to five different cloud platforms. And please take note that DevOps approach has accelerated, simplified, and streamlined application deployment. All of these are related and facilitates with a multi-cloud strategy adoption.
I agree. Even as you mentioned, multi-cloud adoption, right? I think managing multi-cloud adoption is also very, very important initiatives, what we are seeing in the banking industries. And there, Ashnik is playing a very important role, which we'll be covering. Also, Dennis, I really love the thought of changing the business model to improve customer overall experience. So what do you think the role of technologies and data in driving these changes?
The technology and data plays a very important role in digital transformation journey in the banking industry. They're experiencing significant disruptions because of the new normal, new customer demands. So banks should leverage the power of data, and they should revisit their operational model. And one of the thing here is that data analytics will help you better understand customers or consumers' needs, identify business opportunities, and obviously reduce costs. And you can see some of the importance of data, and those importance in data that I've mentioned plays and drives those functional aspects with all of this customer experience, analytics, operational efficiency, scale and operation, and of course, new revenue model.
Well, that's true. Thanks, Dennis. That's really interesting. Well, in an open source ecosystem with the opportunities which you have mentioned, what do you see any benefits from the technologies, especially in the open source?
Yes, definitely. And here are some of the benefits and important items to remember in open source adoption. Well, I just want to highlight that open source technologies rather helps our customer to cut down their cost without impacting their application performance, but instead improve processes and customer experience. Here's some. For security, open source complies with the government rules and standards by adopting, again, open source. Through migration, it will help you cut down the cost and save money for some other investments like AI, machine learning. Another thing is due to huge number of data generated, you can, just by adopting open source, you can just easily add new resources instead of increasing its capacity. And that's the good thing about it. Diverse deployment, of course, it provides diversity, meaning you can move your application from one place to another, one region to another. Multi-cloud strategy, it improves overall time to market, lower down the cost. Containerization, easy deployment, easy development. The DevOps approach has accelerated and really, again, it really streamlined the application deployment. Again, this is facilitated by this multi-cloud strategy.
I agree. I agree. And I think, open source technologies are, helping our customers to become innovative and, flexible too, right? I would like to share with our customer a very interesting, survey which we did in 2020 in Southeast Asia. And we noticed that, 58% of the customers are, keen to use enterprise open source databases, with 23% community open source database and 19% as the proprietary database. So you can see that 81% customers in Southeast Asia and India consider that open source database will be adopted in their organizations in the coming months. So that's interesting, right?
That's right. Um, that's very interesting, and I agree with you. By the way, Anjali, would you like to, share the role of Ashnik in an open source technologies in the region?
Sure, definitely. Well, Ashnik, we are very, very pragmatic about using open source and cloud technologies to solve, critical business challenges. And over 200 large enterprises in the region have acknowledged our expertise in delivering solutions using the latest open source technologies. We make sure that our clients grow rapidly, while lowering the operation cost. And our suite of services consist of, technical services, managed services, architecture consulting, and training services. So if you see the slide, right, so some of the interesting initiatives where we have been involved with major banks and other customers in Philippines and Southeast Asia is, database platforms, database automation like Postgres, MongoDB, as an alternative to legacy databases, and technology like Redis for session management and caching, containerization and monitoring using, Mirantis and Sysdig, application delivering platform through Nginx, right? And as we talked about, multi-cloud platform, right? So their HashiCorp with its technologies like Terraform, Ansible, Vault in that multi-cloud, management is playing a very, very important role. And last but not the least, observability platform using Elastic. With that, Dennis, would you like to share some use cases?
Yeah, sure. Let me share some of the use cases in the banking industry. The first use case is an open source database adoption for both NoSQL. And now this is a very interesting customer, Anjali, and please take note that this customer is one of the Asia's leading company. And this bank has always been among the first to embrace technological and innovations and to empower its customer. So their initial requirement are the need to have an alternative database vendor options, preferably open source based, that can help them with their new projects or new initiatives. But the real goal is to have a very cost effective open source database solution for both SQL and NoSQL workloads. So the key challenges on this use case is number one, high database license cost. If you gotta compare it with their legacy databases being used, open source database is the right of choice in terms of cost effectivity. And another thing is that nobody likes vendor lock-in, right? I'm sure you will agree with me. So to come up with the solution, what we did was we provided consultancy services to this customer. But prior to that, we conducted a proof of concept activity to make sure that their application will run to this new open source database. We migrated their existing legacy database to open source database, and the good news is that we, of course, definitely, as what we're expecting, we achieved the expected result based on the POC criteria. So let me share some of the key benefits to this customer. Number one is price performance balance and cost optimization using open source database. And again, it avoids vendor lock-in and the adoption and expanding with both SQL and NoSQL workloads. As a result, is the two new database technologies, which is which are open source, are now being used, which provides better performance at a very cost-effective way. And again, they achieve the freedom of choice. And another use case is database migration. This is another success story. Uh, Database migration from a proprietary database to open source database. And this customer is one of the largest bank in the Philippines. And this was established by Philippine government. And the direction of this customer is to use open source database solution as part of their digital transformation journey. We worked, and well, we're still working closely with this customer, I would say. And we provide different solutions on their digital transformation journey. Adapting open source databases, one of the historical events happened on this journey. And we help them with the design and implementation of database, high availability architecture for, you think of this, Anjali, for their core banking application, meaning using open source for a core banking application. So we have been setting up database management tool, which combines monitoring, alerting, and tuning. And the customer can monitor multiple databases using one database dashboard. So let me share some of the key benefits to this customer. As you can see, uh, they were able to save a lot of money for this investment, and the customer is, continuously adopting open source solution, not only in the database ecosystem, but different open source tools and technologies. 92% cost savings on capex, 63% cost saving on opex, and have 89% annual growth rate in terms of subscription. So it also helps the company to focus on its core business and innovative solution. Another use case is the an adoption of microservices. This is a very unique and interesting customer story. The microservices architecture was, created to address problems caused by the usual or the typical, the monolithic application. This is already widely used, and some large-scale websites already transformed their monolithic application to microservices. And of course, you put your microservices in containers. Containers are composition of your software that includes everything that needs to run, including your code, dependencies, libraries, binaries, and more. And the key challenge for this use case are the customer had many manual processes on their existing pipeline. Having said that, application development and deployment will be impacted. So to better respond to their challenges, we provided consultancy services based on the standard and best practice in identifying the right technology to be used for their CI/CD pipeline. So these solutions offers agility to um, respond to fast-moving market condition and reduced cost of technology solution for businesses. So let me share the key benefits for this customer. They are able to, ability to deploy services faster and reduce time to market drastically. No longer locked into any environment. It can make the best business decision for future cloud strategy. As a result of this partnership, they were able to deploy their services easily to cut it short and again reduce time to market. Please remember that choosing the right tool or technology is very important to this type of initiative. Um, The last use case that I'm gonna share, this is another one of a kind use case, I would say. A interesting success story from our customers. Our customers. This is where we designed and implemented a highly scalable logging and monitoring platform for this specific customer. And this customer is a Fortune 500 company and a leading provider of financial services and solutions globally. They are actually offering an IT infrastructure hosting core banking solution as a service to multiple banks. And being a provider of a core banking as a service, it means that this customer has a complex and large amount of logs from infrastructures, from their applications, from database, and more. And those logs are coming from multiple and different data sources. As I've mentioned earlier, data should be analyzed, to provide trends and patterns. So you will be able to get insights and better understanding on what's happening on their system. So the right tool for logging brings the power of search, observability, and security solution to both on cloud and on-prem. So we help the customer to quickly and easily search their environment for information, analyze data to obtain insights, and of course to protect their technology investment. And this logging tool and technology helps the customer to deploy on their own way, whether as a managed service or with orchestration tools. We also they also help this customer through consulting and implementation services of one enterprise-wide centralized logging platform to store, view, and analyze their system performance and maintenance. So, what are the key benefits to this customer? It offers the core banking as a service to more banks at a lower cost. It offers better SLAs to its customers and easy to integrate in any other banking channels. And they achieve higher level of efficiency, flexibility, and scalability to support new business initiatives. And smooth integration, of course. And please take note, it's 2 times faster in terms of processing time compared to their old system. And lastly, it improves disaster recovery and business continuity for mission critical applications. As the result, the customer is now offering this core banking as a service to more banks at a lower cost. And again, with this four success story or use cases, among these that I've mentioned, those solutions that we provided to our customers offers agility to business to respond to fast moving market conditions. And we also help our customer to reduce costs, to reduce the cost of technology solution for their businesses. That will be all, Anjali.
This is great. Thank you so much, Dennis, for sharing some interesting insights and the role which open source and Ashnik is playing in digital transformation and IT modernization for enterprises in Southeast Asia. Well, I will conclude with some key takeaways. We really need the right mindset. We need the right tools for the right job. Changing business and industry dynamics needs agility, data central to digital transformation, and I would say the most important is possibility to free IT budgets, for innovation by moving away from proprietary technologies to open source. Thank you so much.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome to our panel discussion around the theme of the experiences and challenges of adopting cloud in the banking industry. Now, cloud has become a way of consuming infrastructure, platforms, and applications as services. It has democratized the power of computing and has disrupted every other industry by providing the power of computing, storage, network, and analytics at the hands of non-traditional players and startups. However, banking industry is a highly regulated industry and faces unique challenges in the adoption of cloud and is getting disrupted by fintech players. Now, in this forum, we will try to understand the challenges the banking industry faces in cloud adoption and how they can be avoided, and also the pitfalls of cloud vendor lock-in. Now, welcome to the experiences and challenges of adopting cloud in the banking industry panel discussion by Ashnik. Today, we are very delighted to have great people with us. I would like to welcome our esteemed panelist, Mr. Ariel Roda, who is a Chief Information Officer and Head of Information Technology Group of Philippine Bank of Communications, which is PBCom Bank. Mr. Ariel, he is a senior management professional with extensive C-level leadership experience in technology and business transformation initiatives across several industries, including utilities, banking, telecommunications, gas, oil, and information technology. He is currently the CIO and IT group head of Philippines Bank of Communications, PBCom Bank. I also have with me Mr. Ramos Abasolo, who is a SVP and Chief Digital Officer of Robinsons Bank. With more than 35 years of banking and technology experience, Mr. Ramon is now driving key digital initiatives in Robinsons Bank. In 2020, as we all know, despite the pandemic and the lockdowns, Robinson Bank has successfully launched several digital services. Among these are a fully digital customer acquisition app called Sign Up and a newly upgraded online banking system that is run in the cloud. Again, welcome to both of you to this esteemed panel discussion around cloud and its challenges. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So we will start with our panel discussion, Ariel and Ramon. So as you both know, the panel discussion is around the cloud and its challenges. Before I start with my questions, if you would like to give a little bit of introduction about your journey so far on the cloud for your organization, your experiences, and then we can shift the gears on the actual questions. So Ariel, you would like to start first with your bank's journey on the cloud first?
Oh, thank you, KP. So glad to be here. Thank you for inviting us. Well, as far as our cloud journey is concerned, it's still a short journey. So we've been on the cloud for probably a little over 12 months.
Okay.
So we have our chatbot on the cloud. We also have our core banking system on the cloud.
Okay.
So we've been working with a few vendor partners who have allowed us to move, okay, and take advantage of cloud services. Okay. And there are many pros and cons about this, and this is something that I probably have a chance to share later on with you and the audience. So there are many challenges.
Okay.
We're still struggling.
We will come to that.
We're still struggling. I won't deny that. It's not an easy path. It's not an easy journey. And I'm sure Mon would have his own set of challenges, as it is with not only the rest of the banking industry, but other industries as well. It's still evolving. As far as cloud service providers are concerned, I think they're also trying to improve the way they've been offering their services. And that means, many changes as well in the offering itself, and even in the way they've priced their services. So I'll stop there and maybe get into the details later.
Sure. So, Mr. Ramon, over to you. If you can share so far your journey on cloud for your organization.
Okay, thank you also for having me here. Robinsons Bank actually started its cloud journey with a software as a service initiative with our credit card provider. So that was our first foray into cloud with a software as a service. Then we moved to platform as a service, and we started first with our development and testing environment for the online banking app. So we started with that, and it was also to test the waters with our central bank, with our board, and with our senior managers, just to gauge the appetite. It was very promising. They were very excited that we were entering into the cloud environment. And then just recently, as in just a few months ago, we implemented our online banking app, our entire online banking suite. So both browser-based and mobile app, right in the cloud with a infrastructure as a service type of engagement. And yes, we've had our own challenges. We're still getting used to the concept of an environment that is not on premise, and sort of delegating a lot of the management and operational aspects to a third party. And we're learning on the way. We're learning things about it brings its own set of opportunities and its own set of challenges. So it's been interesting, and I don't think we will go back to the way we used to work when we were managing our own infrastructure.
Great. So great to get this perspective from both of you in terms of your overall cloud journey so far. Now, coming about or talking about the specifics of the challenges, I would like to know so far in your journey and even going in the future of your cloud migration journey, what three key challenges that you have faced or you foresee that you will face in the upcoming years for your organization? And I would like to ask this first to Mr. Ramon, if you can give some three key challenges that you faced or foresee that you will definitely face.
Well, one challenge that all of us thought would be a huge challenge that ended up not as major a challenge as we thought was our central bank. We were worried that the central bank will give us a lot of hurdles, a lot of challenges, a lot of paperwork, but it came out they are quite open. And they're quite open to even, and I guess PBCom can attest to it, to even the core bank with all its customer information on the cloud. So that was one challenge that we all thought would be a problem, came out to be not much of a problem. The other challenges, of course, is the change of culture within the IT organization, wherein now their skill sets would have to change from managing infrastructure, hardware, to service level agreement management and outsourcing management. And I guess the last challenge was that we did learn of a lot of other things that we thought were part of the cloud engagement, items like disaster recovery, even network. There are some aspects of the network that we also learned throughout this journey. So I guess now that we've gotten our feet wet, now that we've learned how to handle those challenges, we predict it will be smoother along the way. But what are the other challenges we would foresee? I guess because we just recently moved, we will now go about the challenge now of testing the DR environment to see how it goes about and how it will be run. And I guess the other challenge will happen is I'm pretty sure there will come a time when we will have to move cloud providers, and that will set its own challenges. And so we're also trying to make it as seamless and as quick and as abstract as possible to our
Okay.
customers.
Okay.
We do have certain technologies, container technologies, but we're still not sure if that will actually work when we move from one environment to the other.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Ariel, if you can share some additional challenges that you have faced for PPCom Bank.
Well, I shared the same set of surprises with with Mon here.
Okay.
I really thought BSP or the central bank would really be a challenge, but surprisingly, they've been
Mm-hmm.
very supportive. In fact, they're the ones who've been pushing a lot of us in this industry to adopt more technologies,
Mm.
all in the name of inclusivity. Plus the fact that I'm so happy and I'm proud that my senior management and my board of directors,
Mm.
led by our president, Ms. Macy, and our COO, John Medina, has been very supportive of cloud initiatives. But having said that, internal to IT, because I have a very small team, I've roughly just about 50 plus people. So this is the
Mm.
core team that has been managing a lot of our partner vendors and
Okay.
other providers. So the key challenges are actually the familiarity with and the depth and scale of skill sets to
Mm.
fully understand, everything about the cloud. So each day there have been developments as well in that area,
Mm.
which is not only a challenge for the vendors, but they're also struggling how to explain best to how to explain that to us as
Mm.
potential customers. Second would be, I think, a challenge in crafting an appropriate business case. Okay, to be able to bring up to management and justify an investment either in IaaS, PaaS,
Mm.
or even BPaaS. So we're seriously looking at business process as a service as well on the cloud.
Mm.
And the third would be the specific challenges in integration. So I would suppose if you bring up an application on the cloud that's standalone, uh, not too much of a worry, right? But once you have that same application, for example, our core banking interface with, I don't know, 40 other applications, it presents an entirely new set of challenges as well. And I'm sure my colleague Mon will attest to that. So it's an ongoing challenge as well. And fortunately or unfortunately, the cloud service providers are also, I guess, just a few pages ahead of us, if you ask me. And I'm sure
Mm.
Mon will attest to that. At least
Yes, yes.
they're just maybe one or
But
two
I
chapters
guess,
ahead of us.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
So that in itself is
and I
also
guess yeah,
right.
and I guess to the audience is that you need, if you're going to engage with a cloud provider, you need a cloud
Mm.
provider who will give you the best support that they can. We
Yes.
understand they probably, and they're also not familiar, but they
Yes.
really have to give good support. We've had our own problems, and
Mm.
fortunately, we had a good cloud provider, and they were very quick to provide solutions.
Okay, great. Great to know that. And in fact, it was very encouraging to hear from both of you that the Central Bank of Philippines has been very supportive of cloud initiatives. And I'm seeing this across ASEAN region where, in fact, the central banks in every country, they have been very open and they have been very forefront in terms of giving out their policies, which were very pro cloud and encouraging all the banking customers to adopt cloud very aggressively, which was very good to see. Yeah, and I think good that you highlighted the key challenges that both of you have faced so far and foreseeing that there will be some more challenges coming up, and it's just a start. So in terms of planning to address those problems in the future, how are you aligning your teams, your processes, your organizational culture, for example, within your organizations to basically handle these challenges that you foresee? If you can shed some lights on that and share with our viewers. So maybe Ariel, you want to go first?
Okay. Well, first we have to review the entire operating environment, right? In specifically for the bank I work for, Become. So it calls for simplification of processes. So if there have been, quite a good number of processes that have been manual based in the past. So it's a good opportunity now to simplify, maybe do away with, many duplicative processes, and maybe automate it. If to a point we can do straight through processing, even better, starting with the self-service perspective on the part of the customer, right? And delight them with a new journey. And I think that sort of environment as a precursor would make it a little easier to move stuff from on-premise to the cloud. Okay, because it also simplifies a lot of how we could properly manage that new environment. The other area would be training. So we're still struggling with trainings. If you have a small shop and you have a lot of BAU responsibilities, the time allocated to trainings might be deprioritized a bit or deferred. So that's another challenge on the part. So that calls for a vendor partner or a cloud service provider that's very patient, right? And also helping us navigate with limited or not as deep knowledge on cloud as they are. We're also looking at a lot of proofs of value. It's no longer proofs of concept that we demand. It's really POV, because I would like to think that a cloud opportunity for a much, much larger bank might bring back a different set of advantages than a smaller bank like PPCom. So we always we try to work with cloud service providers who are willing to do a 4 to 6 week proof of value engagement with us. So that it also teaches us, side by side with the vendor, how best to go about a particular implementation or a challenge, for example. And lastly, we'd like to, we appreciate cloud service providers who really take the time to go with us on a walkthrough. Okay, so whether it's the intricacies of Dockers or microservices, or how best to do multiple databases and so on, or APIs, or even that particular side of cloud that's not often part of the initial discussion, which is security. So there are times when we'd like to put something on the cloud, and it turns out that that particular application has to shoulder the brunt of other investments. And then when you do the business case, it may no longer, look attractive because that one application would also have to shoulder maybe 10 times, more expenses than having a full, suite of applications on the cloud. So those are the areas that we're doing right now to be able to keep abreast, of the advantages.
I really liked your point of proof of values. I think many customers are adopting proof of value concept rather than proof of your POC. Or
no, I'm sure that those things have worked in other countries. It's really just trying to reconfirm if they're as valuable to us as it is with their other customers.
Correct. Over to you, Mr. Ramon, if you can add a few more.
Yeah, I also like Ariel's term of proof of value, because a lot of vendors, they do proof of concept, but they just showcase their tool. What I try to pivot the vendor to is they have to have their own stake in the game, the thing that we call you have to show skin in the game. So if it doesn't work, I mean, they have to have some how would you say, they have to be part of the team. They stand to lose, maybe not as much as the bank if it fails, but they have to have skin in the game. I guess, everything that Ariel mentioned, it's the same for us. The other thing I will add to that is, aside from what he mentioned about learnings and training, we also need proper debugging and isolation and monitoring tools. Because what we're seeing the solutions now become fragmented, and it's even possible that a solution will reside in one cloud provider while another solution will reside in another cloud provider. PBCom is so bold that they put their core bank in the cloud first. So what we're seeing is that if there's a problem, because the solutions are fragmented, you're already the isolation and the monitoring and the problem resolution becomes quite a challenge, because there are some aspects which are abstracted from you. So you're no longer, and you need the proper tools to track how network connections happen, how messages flow from one system to another. And the quicker we have those tools available, the quicker the whatever incidents will happen will be resolved. Then yes, there will be incidents, intermittent connections, response time connections. Yeah, those are the challenges. But if you have you have good people, good provider, good tools, you will eventually solve all that.
Correct. And I think both of you mentioned that the cloud vendor or cloud partner needs to have skin in the game. I think that's a very important point, because you don't need just somebody who is providing services, but you need somebody who is going to partner with you throughout this journey, because it's a different journey for all the organizations. It's a complete shift in paradigm where they are shifting from on-premises models to as a service models on cloud. So there you got a right point in terms of you are looking for right partners who are going together with you in this journey. So my next question is also related to that, where how you're going to avoid or look at ways to avoid any particular cloud vendor lock-ins, because inadvertently some cloud providers would be good at some services, whereas some other cloud provider could be good in other services. So it may end up having multi-cloud strategy for your organization. So how you are going to plan for it? Are you choosing right technologies to avoid vendor lock-ins right away when you're deciding your strategies? So Mr. Ravan, if you would like to add a few points on that.
Yeah, that was a concern of ours when we started to embark in this journey. So we had to design or architect the solution.
Correct.
And I have to defer to the really techie guys, but I think they were able to design it like a container, or they were able to containerize the application so that theoretically it should be portable to any cloud provider in case we decide to disengage with our current one. We haven't tested that theory yet, but the vendor was able, they claim they've designed it and architected our solution that way. So I guess that's one way, because there will always be another cloud provider that is better than your current one. And I guess we just need to make sure we're flexible, that we will be able to shift to another cloud provider as quick as possible. Some might quote like 6 to 9 months. That for me is not acceptable to shift. It should be months or even a quarter. So that's how we prevent vendor lock-in. But fortunately, there are just a few players right now. We haven't gotten into a situation where we were unhappy with the cloud provider and we had to shift right away. But I suspect somewhere down the road we will encounter that dilemma.
Right. So Mr. Ariel, if you would like to add a few cents here.
Yeah, well, I haven't gone that far down the cloud journey to really worry about lock-ins, right? So as I said, we're quite new to the game. And what I've been focusing on right now would be the SLAs, so it's the service level agreements. So I think there's a lot to learn from how many of the cloud service providers have different sets of SLAs, right? Depending on how you're engaging them. The most complex would probably be a managed service arrangement. And I think Mon alluded to that. There will always be problems associated with outages, maybe not even enough resources that are dynamically allocated when you expect them to be there when the volume or the scale picks up, right? So we're still trying to refine the SLAs, and fortunately, our vendor partners have been open to continuous improvement in that area. The other part would be a concern right now on my part on what conditions might warrant an exit, right? For if certain pre-agreements have been breached or are not being met, what would allow me to actually decouple myself from that cloud service provider. So right now, I have not really encountered any, critical issues that would require me to make that decision. But I'd like to think I should be ready to be able to tap that option if and when I become big enough and it becomes a little bit more complicated, that another vendor can step in and say, you know what, Ariel, I can do a better job. Okay, that's what I'm preparing for.
Sure. And I think one of you already mentioned that how we are looking at containers to basically make sure that whether you move to from one cloud provider to another cloud provider in the future, or even today if you're running some workloads on premises. So
But that's another
probably,
challenge. I'd
yeah.
like to think that's another challenge. If it's an existing application designed,
Yes.
many years ago, right?
Correct,
In
correct, correct.
some old-fashioned programming language, and you're trying to push it on the cloud, then it would have
Yeah.
its own set of challenges. Whereas
It
if
will
you
have its own
call
set
on
of
the
problems.
cloud, right, design it for the cloud and everything, it should be
Yeah.
a little bit, more stable, I would suppose. Yes.
Absolutely,
The
absolutely.
other
So
one the other one I'd like to advise the audience is on vendor lock-in. Don't go beyond, maybe try to keep the contract into 1 year. Three
Yeah,
years is probably the max that you would go to. If they want to lock in for 5 years, I that one I'm not sure anymore. The typical, 1 year.
good advice. Good advice,
yeah,
man. Good advice. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. So I think containers or such technologies are going to play a very important role in your adoption of multi-cloud strategy, as you mentioned. But any other particular tools, technologies that you are looking at, or especially on the cloud adoption side, is your cloud adoption only targeted towards infrastructure as a service, or are you looking to expand it beyond that and looking at some platforms to be used or consumed as services, or some softwares also to be consumed as services on your preferred cloud vendor today? So how are you actually planning that navigation on the cloud? If any one of you can start on that section.
I guess on our side, it's always cloud first is the solution that we will look at. So if we're
Okay.
looking for a solution, that before cloud came, it was either a build or buy type of solution. Where buy is, it's always on premise.
Correct.
Now with cloud, even certain components like API gateways, ETL tools for data, those that are not business type of software, but not really infrastructure type solutions, we try to see if we can do it on the cloud and if it is much cheaper and much more efficient. So I guess that's what we're looking at as well. But yeah, that's what we're looking at as well. But the reality is everything that's on the cloud sometimes uh, may not be as value level. They're not as cost efficient as what some people might claim. There are situations where on premise will still be uh, best bang for your buck.
Okay, okay, absolutely. Anything from you, Ariel, if you want to add? How are you looking at it? Is it PaaS kind of solutions or
And,
SaaS? Are
and,
you, yeah.
yeah, I agree with Mon. We looked at cloud first, right? For any new requirements, what's out there? Is there anything hosted already?
Hmm.
Where are the other industries going with? Who are they going with, for example?
Hmm.
So I guess one of my advantages is I've worked for 5 other industries, so I can, get best of breed. Let's say if it's a CCAS, customer contact center, for example, as a service. Uh,
Hmm.
so similar to a telco or any other service
Hmm.
provider. So we try to get recommendations and see what's out there that I can immediately tap on the cloud. So
Okay.
right
Okay.
now it's building it is last priority, unless it's
So,
unless it's
so
so
yeah.
compelling,
Okay. Okay.
right? That I think it's a differentiator for us to actually go that route. But if not, then I'll just go with run of the mill, best in class,
Hmm.
best practice software
Okay.
that I
Okay.
can subscribe to.
So one curious question here to both of you. So when you're saying it's cloud first approach that both of your organizations is adopting right now, so are there no more concerns in terms of your data residing on cloud? So all these concerns are already settled for your organizations within the industry. Is that what you're referring to?
Uh, I, well, in our case, we had to also seek
Mm-hmm.
the regulator's approval. I don't know if that's now across, all the banks, but I suppose the regulators would still require each bank to go through
Hmm.
the process
Okay.
of explaining, right? What exactly is it that you want to do with your cloud partner?
Okay.
Yeah, and if probably all their conditions are met, then that's when they either tell you they pose no objection or go ahead and pursue that path.
For my side, our management is very
Mm-hmm.
really encourages cloud. In fact, every
Okay.
time we make a presentation on where to host, our management will insist that cloud is part of the proposal. Before it before it was we had to justify moving it to the cloud. Now it's like you have to justify why you're putting it on premise.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, data is of course is still a concern, but because of the shift of a cloud first philosophy, we
Mm.
cannot go to management and say we don't want to move it into the cloud because of data confidentiality. That we can't go with that position. Because if we do, our management will say that's a problem you have to solve. There should be no excuse why we cannot host it in the cloud. Especially now that we know PBCom has hosted their core bank in the cloud. More, all the more we cannot. All the more that we can't give that excuse. So
Yeah.
my management will always say, how do you protect against hacking or people grabbing huge loads of or doing data dumps. So we have to address that. There's no situation where I cannot protect it, therefore take it out of the cloud. That is not an option. That is not an option for us.
Okay, okay. Great to know your thoughts, both of you. And I would like to just summarize what I have learned personally and what our viewers can look forward to from this session. So, some very key important aspects that came from this discussion was, of course, you are looking for cloud, especially our Robinson Bank and PBCom Bank both have started their cloud adoption journey for quite some time. Especially PBCom Bank has already hosted their core banking application on cloud, which is very encouraging for other banks that are looking to adopt cloud for some critical workloads. And one important aspect that you both mentioned, that you're looking for cloud vendors and partners who would like to have skin in the game. They would like to be part of your cloud journey. That's very important. You're also looking for challenges like your team's training processes and of course monitoring and management tools, where definitely there should be or possibility to add value from cloud vendors is there. So I think with that note, I would like to really thank both of you for sharing the pearls of wisdom from the industry, and I'm very much appreciated about your time for today's panel discussion, and great to have both of you in this panel. I would like to just capture one, what we call it as Wi-Fi. So just give a good smile and we will capture it. One more. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
very much.
you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to talk about how to increase revenue and boost customer experience. So, although we are meeting virtually, um, I'm still very excited to share this very timely topic for this afternoon. So, ever since the lockdown happened, most of our activities has been through the online channels, online tools. So for this afternoon, let me first introduce myself. My name is Hershey's Science Papa. I'm the head of business development of I for Asia Incorporated. So for the past 12 years, I've been handling sales, marketing, business development, and just recently, last year, since one of our customers needed assistance in running their customer support operations, somehow I become a customer support manager as well. So for this afternoon, let me introduce our company. So our company is I for Asia Incorporated. So we are a digital solutions company. Our services varies from web development, digital solutions, technical support, cloud solutions, and chat support service. So one of our cloud solution product is Freshworks. So we are partners with Freshworks since 2015. And since then, we've been growing the business here in the Philippines. So Freshworks, to give you an introduction what Freshworks is all about, Freshworks started in founded in 2010 to revolutionize customer engagement through digital era. We offer the product Freshworks a wide range of solutions encompassing the end-to-end needs of customer employee engagement. Freshworks offers also a complete 360 degrees suite of solutions from generating your prospects, closing the deal, supporting your customers, and making sure the customer success and making them your customer for life. So it has always been the mission and vision of Freshworks to create a business with your customers with the mindset of customers for life. And we also want to create moments of wow with your customers. So more about Freshworks. So this is a snapshot of Freshworks. Yep, it is founded in 2010, and right now we have 150,000 plus customers, 350 partners across the world, 10 offices, 2,400 employees, and 4 data centers. Apart from that, we have 12 products that is very useful in every department, in every operations of your company. Industry accolades. So we are in Gartner Magic Quadrant, but perhaps more importantly, we are happy to be rated highly in the peer review forums such as G2 Crowd and Gartner Peer Insights, where actual buyers and end users of the product have given us high marks. We are designed from the ground up for the actual end users that spend their workday in our software. And this gives us perhaps the most sense of pride. In addition, we have garnered other rewards and accolades in the industry, such as being listed on Forbes Cloud 100 and PC Mag's Editor's Choice. Now, this 2021, times have changed and so have your customers. No matter how much you want to go back to the pre-lockdown, pre-pandemic, there is really, really no way to go back. There is no going back. And since the times have changed, your customers have changed, you have to accept that this will stay. And we have to revolutionize and to also adapt on how we do things, especially this 2021 when the market is opening again. What is our plan? How are we going to face the 2021? Your plan for 2020, it's saying 2020 and you should have a 2021 plan. Now, 2021 plan. So, ano ba ang plan mo dapat ng 2021? Well, any business, maybe most of the business main goal or plan revolves around their customer, the life of any businesses. So by understanding your customers, you will have an understanding, an idea on what you should do this year. So I'm giving you some studies that we have acquired about your customers during the pandemic and this 2021. So according to FICOS survey and Asia Pacific Banking Insight, 76% of Filipinos want to do online banking. 76% wants to do online banking and only 24% ayaw gumamit ng online banking. So it's a huge number, maybe because most of the people are still scared to go outside, especially sa transportation natin ngayon na hindi pa naman full effect ang transportation. Not all have the means to go to the bank. So that's why the percentage of people who wants to do online banking is this high. However, from the 76% who want to do online banking, 43% is still hesitant. So, okay, 76% wants to go, gusto lang nila. But 43%, doon sa 76%, they're scared. They're confident to do the online banking, and the 57% are hesitant, are scared to do online banking. Most of the customers, according to the studies, pinaka-reason nila to do online banking is the username and password security. They see it as an old technology and they prefer financial institution that can adapt to more secure authentication technologies and those who can be seen as trustworthy market leaders in the Philippines. So, according also to the study made by Zomio, it shows that many customers were still overwhelmed with a cybersecurity threat. You may refer to the data being shown now in our slide, and you can see that these are the common reasons why the customers are still scared, hesitant, and a little more careful than they should be in doing online transaction. They're scared of identity theft, account takeover, synthetic fraud, ransomware, and social engineering. Even digital na ang ating panahon ngayon, they are still very, very scared because of these reasons. Now, another study. So I know this is a lot of studies, and hopefully this will be helpful for you guys. Another study says that 52% of the companies here, 52% of the companies are willing to invest on digital transformation para maka-adapt sila sa economic disruption na nadulot itong pandemic, itong lockdown. But only 48% are willing to digitize their operations. And ano ba yung mga companies na yun? Which of this company industries willing na mag-transform? Surprisingly, nawawala ang construction industries, IT, manufacturing, followed by energy, retail, and lastly, by banking industry. So, if I'm looking at the market now and seeing that, um, I think for me, I stopped some of the activities related to construction and other side businesses, but I never stopped using the bank. I never stopped using the services of the bank. So I'm quite surprised that the banking industry, at least based from this study made by this source sa baba, it says that only 28% of the banks are willing to digitize and transform their operations. So yeah, this is quite surprising. But for those who want to digitize and who wants to transform their customer service, to, to um to revolutionize their digital transformation, these are some of the ways we think that you can increase your revenue and boost customer experience. Of course, with we transform, nakasunod ka sa industry, we're expecting an increase in revenue. And to boost the customer experience, I know that go to a lot of blogs or financial magazine or financial articles. They are all available in the internet, and those articles can help you. But this is something that I want to add lang. In case you're already studying how you will revolutionize your digital plans, just allow me to share a few points. Baka sakaling makadagdag or baka sakaling it may affirm your current plans. So how do you increase revenue and boost customer experience? Okay. I think I have two suggestions lang, and per suggestion, meron lang steps under that suggestion. So first is your customer experience. You have to develop a truly omnichannel customer experience, collect customer feedback about the experience, offer a proactive support, provide customers with self-service opportunities, and ensure that your customers' data are secured. Okay, so Hershey's, develop a truly omnichannel customer experience. I have, you can tell me, I have Twitter, I have Facebook, I have Instagram. I am all over this channel, but why omnichannel? The omnichannel gives you a holistic view of your customers. Um, you can see what they are seeing in Facebook, in Twitter, in Instagram, or other channels, like your email, your phone, in one holistic, organized view, so you have a better idea of what your customers are saying. So instead of going to each of this channel, you put it in the omni-channel tool that can give you an overview of what they are saying. So that is the omnichannel customer experience that you may want to consider as you digitize your customer operations. Second is to collect customer feedback about their experience. So at the end of every touch point with your customer, whether it is via call, via email, or your chat, don't forget to ask for a quick feedback. May it be a survey, may it be a personal pag-usap with the manager. Ask them how is their experience transacting with you. So it's very essential because again, if you know what their grievances or kung ano what they like most about your services, you can focus on that. Next is offer a proactive support. This is something I very, very much treasure with the banks that I deal with. Because there are times, of course, I'm doing online banking, and then I know that pagdating let's say ng sweldo, I have this transaction that I need to transfer money or pay my bills. And I appreciate kapag merong proactive notice ba that, hey, there would be a scheduled maintenance so that I was able to schedule my activity. So kung alam kong, okay, sige, so meron palang scheduled maintenance on this day, then I know either agahan ko or after na lang ko siya gagawin rather than I'm setting aside this time to do this transaction, then siya ako malalaman down pala. Minsan nga wala pang notice yung iba and nahuhula ka, ano nangyari? So proactive support like this is very, very helpful. You can add it you can add it on your website that once they land on that specific page, there is a pop-up notice that you're having a maintenance or in your chat box dapat meron din siya. So ayan, proactive support and provide customer with self-service opportunities. Siguro ang maganda rin sa digital world, most of our customers, they are very, very tech savvy. Minsan nga sila na mismo naghahanap ng answer sa mga gusto nilang malaman. So, for example, instead of asking your live chat agent, which is very much appreciated if you have one, but some kasi are, let's say, naka-queue pa din sa live chat and they want to answer na agad their questions, it's better that you have a self-service portal wherein they can find the answers they are looking for. So, ayun, kasi naghihintay lang sila or baka ano pang information na mastumble nila sa internet, better you have a self-service portal for them. Ensure that your customers' data are secured. This is very, very, very something na hindi dapat mako-compromise. Dapat alam ng customers because even if you have those features that will make them happy with your service, kung hindi naman nila alam na they are secured end of the day, then baliwala din. So ensure that your customer data is secured. Ayan. And as I told you kanina, I only have two suggestions as you digitize your operations this 2021. The next is align your sales and support. So, okay, Hershey's, most of the time, the sales and the support, separate department. Iba ang nag-uusap sa sales, iba ang nag-uusap sa support. That I very, very much understand and can relate to. But this is the best time wherein we resolve the data silos and to ensure that our customer is happy and we have a secure deal with them. So, paano ba natin ma-resolve yung data silos natin? Kanina I mentioned an omnichannel support. So, I have this one story that a salesperson called me and offering me some of the products. But that salesperson doesn't know that I'm having a concern with that product na. So, I ended up asking ano nangyari dun sa concern ko. Here you are offering an upgrade, but still yung concern ko, hindi pa rin siya nare-resolve. So, there is a data silos here. So, it is much, much better this year that we resolve this one. The customer service can see the current ongoing transaction with their sales, and also the sales can see if this customer has a concern as well, so that we can better serve our customers kasi alam natin kung ano ba ang nangyayari sa kanya. So you should be able to pick a tool that can resolve this data silos for you. Because end of the day, happy customer is a secure deal and future revenue. So, ayan. So, those are some of the tips, insight that I can give you this afternoon. Let me share with you a very quick story lang, a customer spotlight lang. This is about NIC, Nick Asia Bank. So, a full story ni Nick Asia Bank, you can find it in Freshworks website. About to give you a quick glance on how they revolutionize digitize and break the data silos, they integrated Freshdesk and Freshchat. So by integrating this tool under Freshworks umbrella, they were able to track metrics such as customer satisfaction, net promoter score, customer index, employee satisfaction, and so on and so forth. They also integrated Freshchat, wherein they saw significant shift in traffic. They have agents dedicated to handling Freshchat queries, and number is at over 400 conversations a day. So I'd like to tell you more about Make Asia Bank, but since we only have limited time and to give way to our Q&A, this story about Make Asia Bank, you can find it in Freshworks website instead. If you have any questions, if you'd like to consult us with your current requirement, here are our contact details. You can email us, go to our website, or call us if you have any questions. Thank you and good afternoon. Have a great day ahead.
Hi, my name is Elliot Jones, and today I'll be talking about powering customer and business outcomes within FSI using Snowflake. So first and foremost, I'd like to set the context for the session today and just discuss briefly about how new technology is changing the way in which we use data within the financial services industry. So first and foremost, we've got the rise of cloud technology, which really gives us the ability to scale and centralize data into a single repository. And also, you know, the explosion of data today. When you think of IoT, mobile, and even social, all opening up opportunities for new insights for data providers. And then we've also got the diversification of analytics. Arguably, every part of an enterprise today is an analyst and becoming more and more data-driven. Whether we're looking at backwards-looking reporting or, you know, forwards-looking AI and ML use cases, analytics is going on everywhere within enterprises today. And just to discuss more in depth in terms of the trends that we're seeing shaping financial services industries, harnessing data has become or never been more important because every single financial services industry is facing massive transformation, and it's happening faster than ever before. We're seeing key trends influencing the way in which companies work with data in order to accelerate their digital transformation. First and foremost, we've got the rise of a customer-centric model, and financial services leaders are moving away from an operation where they see customers just as a transaction. And PwC recently announced that over 75% of leaders are investing in putting their customers at the center of every single interaction they have. And their goal really is to assess the right data about customers and to create hyper-personalized experiences at their fingertips. And this is the case that we see both in consumer and also B2B. The second bucket really is the increased demand for data to power predictive analytics. And data is growing, as I mentioned in the previous slide, at an exponential rate. Take, for example, IoT, wearables, connected cars, home and monitors. And financial services leaders want to understand and have a full pictured view that explains what is happening beyond the four walls of their business. And access to data outside of first party presents a number of opportunities within the banking industry, and use cases can include things like fraud detection, anti-money laundering, customer experience personalization, trading strategies, and credit allocation. And really then the third piece is around digitalization and process automation. And as digital becomes the new standard, thanks to companies like Uber and Amazon, we see efforts in improving mission critical processes such as onboarding, process automation, transaction settlement, to create end-to-end streamlined processes to reduce operational costs and increase employee efficiency. Firms are no longer building from the ground up and rather outsourcing to platform providers that are able to get them to the market faster and allow them to focus on their core financial expertise. And the final area really is around the convergence of financial product and services. And there's an increased competition both from within the industry and also with technology companies. Financial services have greater access to data and insights outside of their organization and have the ability to quickly develop IP and new applications to deliver services at a much lower cost than previously seen. So no matter what the financial service sub-industry, executives are tasked with addressing these trends to assert their place in the market. And the appetite for data and creating a single source of truth grows as it will be a central part of addressing these trends. Now, diving down into from a customer view, and if customers and organizations are to overcome these challenges by reimagining the way that they use data, therein presents a massive opportunity and benefits that they can realize. First and foremost, you can create experiences that are truly personalized to what customers want in that moment, while ensuring that their most sensitive financial data is safe. You can also effectively improve security and governance and compliance without creating limitations to who has access to what data. We can remove operational bottlenecks and superpower employees' productivity by helping them refocus their days, and also optimize decision-making with additional and enhanced data sets from third parties and partnerships within your ecosystem. So what is the challenge with realizing those goals? And ultimately, it goes back to the legacy systems that are currently in play. When you look at today's architecture and the technology stacks that are deployed within enterprises, first and foremost, there's a lack of cohesive data. Time and time again, I speak to organizations and there's a lot of data silos within their organization across different data formats, different enterprise applications and data sources. And ultimately, what that means for the business is it's very hard to gain a 360-degree view of their customer experience, of their customer journey. And ultimately, as a business, it becomes very difficult then to look at things like cross-sell and upsell opportunities, and ultimately prevent things like customer churn, identifying loans or credit risks that are at risk of defaulting. The second bucket really is the operational cost and inefficiency. You think of legacy architectures today, there's hardware costs, software costs, maintenance and ongoing sizing and tuning costs, and all of those need time and resources in order to manage and maintain those systems. And ultimately that leads to higher costs due to a lack of isolated resources, scale and availability. And then from a data sharing perspective, it becomes slow and cumbersome, whether we're talking about ETL or ELT or FTP for data sharing within your organization or externally as well. And then looking at, the more forward-looking predictive AI and ML modeling, it becomes very difficult to do so in terms of the product innovation. And the third bucket really is around the ineffective and incomplete compliance. A lot of regulatory reporting within the financial services industry is dependent on manual processes still today. And legacy systems can take hours. Sometimes customers I speak to, it takes days, sometimes weeks, to complete complex queries and reporting runtimes. And also breeding then into things like fraud monitoring becomes very hard to prevent that when we're working with difficult and often stale data. And how does Snowflake impact that? Well, first and foremost, if we can have a single source of truth that breaks down all of those internal data silos, we can focus on achieving customer-centric outcomes by gaining visibility into our customer journey, our customer 360, and experience every step of that journey. We can use comprehensive insights to enhance products and policies and offerings that we're bringing to market, and proactively prevent things like customer churn and credit card and loan defaults. From an operations standpoint, ultimately, you need to provide your data scientists and analysts with the right data at the time in which they need it. So we can provide fresh data insights and capitalize on those opportunities within the market. And also to do that, not just seamlessly internally, but also to enrich that data from third-party content that is shared securely and easily. And from a risk mitigation standpoint, we can strengthen risk management by attaining control and visibility over that exponentially growing data and help navigate and deliver on the changing regulatory requirements on the fly. And ultimately leverage insights to track and measure governance to combat fraud and mitigate operational risk. So taking a look at the Snowflake platform, there are some key features that allow us to enable all of this business benefit. First and foremost, Snowflake provides a single governed location for all data types, be it structured data or semi-structured data such as JSON, XML, Parquet files. And to put that in a single source of truth, one copy of the data that can support many different key workloads. And Snowflake is deployed on public cloud, which gives you the ability to have unlimited scalability for faster and concurrent data analysis. And from a BI and reporting standpoint, we can seamlessly integrate into the tools that are used day to day by BI and reporting teams. And we can also share data seamlessly, both internally between different business units, but also externally with third-party data providers. And we can do this with high availability, and we're deployed across multi-cloud. So we're available, it doesn't matter whether you're in different regions, different cloud providers, and that is all done and delivered as a service by Snowflake with near zero maintenance. So a big move away from that traditional on-premise architecture that we're seeing within FSI customers. And ultimately, going down into the platform in a bit more detail, as you can see here, Snowflake provides a single source of truth that can support 6 key workloads, from data engineering, data lakes, and data warehouses. We've got many customers that use Snowflake for all of those key workloads, but also building their data science and AI ML practices on top of Snowflake, as well as data applications and also data sharing. So whether you're looking at data monetization, operational reporting, ad hoc or real-time analytics, it can all be done from Snowflake on that single source of truth. And just to double click on the data sharing capability, this is something that is really truly unique to Snowflake, and something that all of our customers within financial services are really making the most of in terms of opportunity. So the Snowflake Data Marketplace empowers financial services customers with relevant, live, and ready to query data types such as demographic data, mobility, weather, health, and even financial and economic data. And sourcing necessary data to solve the pressing business challenges has never been easier using Snowflake. Snowflake's marketplace has more than 100 data providers, including the data sets relevant for financial services. You can see here that there are a few of the data categories and providers available on our marketplace. And our approach to data sharing is quite unique to us. So unlike traditional ways of sourcing data, such as copying files over FTP or deploying your own custom APIs, when you source data through the marketplace, you're accessing the live data set. And providers update their data and you have instant access to the most recent data available. In addition to commercial data sets, we also make available data collected from SaaS providers that your organization is currently using today. And we make it easier to bring these data sets together. And lastly, the data sets can be made available globally, as I mentioned, across multiple different clouds. So no matter which platform or region you're using, you can securely access all of those data sets. And finally, down into the solution summary. So Snowflake for financial services, if you look at, in summary, Snowflake delivers a superior technology solution through a single platform for all data types, irrespective of data source or format, with unlimited user and workload scale. You have instant access to second and third party data that is extremely secure with a low overhead. We offer instant elasticity, and to do this in the most cost-effective way possible. This enables financial services organizations to inexpensively store all of their data in a single globally available, strongly governed data platform, to share data across numerous subsidiaries, businesses, and data partners, and to execute advanced analytical modeling and make smarter business decisions. As a result, Snowflake's financial services customers are leveraging real-time insights to meet customer experience objectives, make more strategic business decisions, and increase operational efficiency and processes, and ultimately deliver on regulatory and risk management and compliance requirements as and when needed. We have proven customer success within the industry, and firms value our commitment to continuous trust and transparency through our stringent security measures. So the last thing I'll touch upon is a story about one of our biggest banking customers globally, Capital One Bank. And very similar to a lot of organizations facing legacy challenges, Capital One really struggled with their on-premise Hadoop environment, having to cater for concurrent data users and also complex performance issues around data science, AI and ML workloads. And moving to Snowflake, we were able to deliver unlimited concurrency and really democratize data across their enterprise. To do this at scale, Snowflake is currently managing 14 times the amount of data that Capital One used to manage on-premise. Again, testament to the unlimited scalability in which Snowflake can scale. And to do that at the speed in which analysts need it, and they can actively make smarter, faster business decisions. And in summary, Snowflake's proven by close to 4,000 customers. Financial services is a very strong sector for us, as you can see by the logos on the slide. If you have any questions, please do let me know.